I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Joe. House Digital.
Maserati Rick in Detroit, convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude, strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game, Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes, Craig Pettis in the M-Town, Sal Magluta with the boat game, Falcone with the cocaine, like Freeway Ricky with the plug game, like Monster Cody in South Central, Larry Davis from close range.
Hey, Corey say hurry up. He just called. It's his second time calling. He say he gonna be here in 10 minutes. And so he say be ready. He gonna be out there in 10 minutes. So hurry up.
Yeah, Eric, the federal courthouse here in downtown Houston was just one stop of several on the way to a life sentence in federal prison for the men in this picture right here. You're looking at the Blount brothers from South Park. Now, their family tells us they couldn't be happier that they are getting out of prison sooner than expected. But one expert we spoke with says their early release is part of a much bigger picture.
They know that they did wrong.
Ella Blount's sons, Ronald Jr. and Corey, along with 4 uncles, were convicted of running a drug ring in Houston and Louisiana. They were sentenced to life in federal prison.
The crime you have to pay for. I just don't think that they should have had life sentences.
Corey Blount, who was the youngest in the group, was supposedly the head.
If my son had been the leader of a criminal enterprise, he would have had a whole lot of money and property and everything else, which he did not have.
His daughter Courtney was 8 when he went away.
It used to make me cry sometimes because like I played basketball, I did dance, I was very smart, I was always on honor roll, and I never had my dad.
Their appeals failed, but Tuesday they were on the list of 111 federal inmates whose sentences were commuted by President Obama. Corey's life sentence was dropped down to 30 years. Ronald Jr. will get out on December 28th.
I just couldn't stop thanking God, because my daily prayer has been to please let them get out before I die.
What Obama has done is no different than what the Bushes did, what Reagan did, what other presidents have done.
Attorney Joel Androphy says commuting sentences is a president's way of acknowledging that the justice system didn't work for a lot of people. He tells us the requirements to even be considered are lofty, and violent offenders are excluded.
He was trying to give people an opportunity to have a second chance in life. Maybe because they had poor representation, or maybe because the laws and the sentences were too strict.
Tracy Clemens, 13 Eyewitness News.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to Houston with it. South Park. Martin Luther King. All my niggas from Houston. I know y'all gonna flood the comment box for this one. Now, today we are gonna be covering what some would consider like folklore or urban legend, but it's really the story of a living legend. Now, we're going to be covering none other than Corey the SLAB King Blount. Now, in covering this story and in detailing it is something that I touched on previously, but now digging deeper, I even have a more fonder respect for him, because he's definitely going to be a trendsetter in a lot of stuff that you've seen going on in Houston and the stuff that's still going on in Houston now. He is going to be the forefather for a lot of it. For those that don't know, he was a member of the Screwed Up Clique, or the infamous Screwed Up Clique, or the worldwide known Screwed Up Clique that came out of Houston that had rappers like Fat Pat, Little Kiki, that was headed by the infamous DJ Screw. And from my account of it, they kind of brought the music aspect, but he brought the car culture. So anybody that know Houston or familiar with Houston, and definitely if you in Houston, Get in the comment box. Let them know about the swings, the Vogues. Let them know how y'all ride down the streets. Houston is probably one of the most places where people just take the most pride in their cars. And Corey Blount's day, the top of the line car was a SLAB. And some dudes in Houston, they gonna probably pick that over a Beamer because of its history and what it means. So now that's just one aspect that's gonna make him a legend. The other aspect is, according to the government, he was involved in a continuing criminal enterprise that spanned about 8 years, that kind of ended at the mid 90s. I mean, at the end of the 90s. So it was going to be like 99, like around 2000. We're going to get more into that. But just to state the impact, this is probably one of the mob ties that I should have covered a long time. I got hundreds of requests. Hundreds is probably an understatement. But he was involved in a conspiracy with his brother and his two uncles. So even though he was the youngest in the conspiracy, they pretty much charged him as the head. He was sentenced to life. His sentence was commuted by Barack Obama, which I want to take time to say that Barack Obama commuted more prisoners than the previous 10 presidents combined, if I'm not mistaken. Now, one of the people that he was arrested with was his uncle, a guy by the name of Ronald Green. And based on my research, that's almost going to be how it looks like they got eyes, or the government got eyes on his operation. They're going to say that his uncle was involved in a drug distribution ring that was in Oakdale, Louisiana. So if you guys was paying attention, y'all know that they said that the drug ring spanned from Houston to Louisiana, and his uncle is going to be the main connection. Just imagine that, you in a continuing criminal enterprise with 4 people. One of them is your brother and 2 of them are your uncles. That's just wow in itself. But they're going to say that they would obtain the cocaine base from Houston, Texas, from one of their relatives, Corey Blount. They're going to say that he was observed in transactions that occurred on May 5th, 1995, May 8th, 1995, September 22nd, 1995, and September 23rd, 1995. So that's going to be when the start of the investigation takes place, and I'm sure that they kept eyes on it, and those eyes pretty much followed Corey Blount back to Houston, Texas. And that's where the investigation took on bigger legs. Now, they're going to say that the transactions on those dates involved Johnny Green, which I'm almost 100% sure is going to be Ronald Green's brother. Is going to also involve Reginald Blount, Corey Blount, and I guess unindicted, I don't want to call him a co-conspirator, but I guess a family member, a guy by the name of Benjamin Blount. Now, the government also had confidential informants. You know how we doing mob ties. It's going to be a guy by the name of John Wayne Jones and Oliver Subler. So, y'all know them. You better keep your mouth shut. Y'all better tighten up. Get up away. Get some new friends. But, so they were pretty much charged with those counts. So possessing cocaine, distributing crack cocaine, and the continuing criminal enterprise charge. So that was kind of what ended the reign, but it was everything that happened in between and before that that really solidified his legend in the city of Houston. And it's many things, or many artists talk about him. Little Kiki said you can't listen to one screwed up rapper and they won't have 30 or 40 references to CB or the SLAB King in their music. But it was something that Little Kiki said in an interview with Noisy that kind of stood out to me, and that really explained why he's so important or why he's such a huge figure in the city. Now, they're going to say, or this is verbatim Little Kiki, he's going to say, from the SLAB, Corey is known on their side of town as the SLAB King. And he's going to go on to explain why he would title these people as kings. So they're going to say that's why Screw is the king and not Watts. And people familiar with Watts was talking about DJ Michael Watts. Now, he would go on to say that Michael Watts is a monster and Watts is one of the greatest mixers and one of the greatest DJs that he ever fucked with. But he's going to say he's from the new era of sound. Now, when he says the new era of sound, the thing that makes me think is the separation from the Screwed Up Clique. Then you have the era of Mike Jones, and then now you just have people like Travis Scott and Sauce Walker, and it's just kind of vibrant. But at that time, he said that it was a new era of sound as far as Michael Watts comparing him to DJ Screw. Now, he said that he didn't know that if Screw could outmix Michael Watts by hand, but the reason Screw was king it was all based on timing. And he said what it was for Screw, he brought out the chopped and screw. Michael Watts, he had the city on lock. He was bringing out these artists, but Screw just made the screw music. And he would go on to reference that to Corey Blount. So he's going to say that's what made Screw king. And to go back to Corey Blount, the reason that he's the SLAB king is because he was the king at that time when SLAB meant something. So there's people out here, he said, he would go on to say, with 15 SLABs or 100 of them, but they'll never be the SLAB king, because when SLAB meant something, he was king. So if that don't ring to you, you need to listen to it again. Now, at the time of the interview, he would go on to say that Corey Blount had been sitting in jail for at least 14 years. And he had a house on the corner of Martin Luther King. And it was his mom's house. And he said it's a well-known statement on their side of the town that nobody drives down that street and don't look to the right in that driveway. Because he's going to say he always kept something there for you to see. And that's why Corey Blount would be named the SLAB King. He was the dude that had the Suburban, that had the Lexus, that had the drop-top Eldorado. Now, he's saying people right now are riding the drop-top Eldorados on 84s. But Corey Blount had the Eldorado on 84s in 84. Off the showroom floor. And he's saying that shit is just, that's what makes him different. It was the timing and it's the era. It's almost like, this might get some comments in a box, it's almost like LeBron chasing Jordan. I'm gonna go out and say, even if he won 7 rings, they still not knocking Jordan off that pedestal. You gotta have more work to do, man. Bill Russell won 10 rings. Or whatever. So they don't even really talk about him in the conversation with Jordan. So it's just crazy. But hey, we comparing the SLAB King to Michael Jordan, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, POP_ALOT. Y'all let me know who we need to cover, where we haven't been, what cities and states we need to tap in with. But also, we want to say welcome home to the SLAB King. Y'all make sure y'all go follow him on Instagram, CB the SLAB King. Y'all flood his comment box. Let him know we definitely want to tap in with him. The streets welcome him home. We're going to be back with some more real trill spill shit. Y'all hit the bell under this video if y'all want to know when it's dropping. And y'all already know what it is. It's the Mobb. Mobb. Ties.